Happy Sabbath, OC Grace. We are the Mama Lelises. I'm Chris.
I'm Crystal.
Who are you?
Penny.
Who are you?
I'm Potter.
And we hope everybody is having a good time during this quarantine period, getting to spend extra quality time with their family. We have both been Crystal's been working more than me. She's been working full time. I've been working about part-time from home sometimes and sometimes in the office. And the kids are driving us a little crazy, but we can handle it. Hope everybody survives this unscathed, and we will look forward to seeing everybody when this is all over. Bye.
Aunque la iglesia esté cerrada, nuestro corazón debe permanecer abierto a la comunión con Dios. Día de adoración es hoy.
Happy Sabbath, everyone. With our church doors shutting all across America, it is time for us to show that the church has never been about the building. We are the church. I miss you. All of your hugs, your smiles. Soon, very soon, we will see you again. Happy Sabbath.
Happy Sabbath.
Hello, church family. I am Kevin Stanish, one of the praise band leaders at OC Grace.
And I'm his wife, Wendy.
And this is
Aiden Stanish.
And this is Ava.
And some things that we've been doing to try to pass the time during this time of quarantine is that we've been doing our morning daily devotions with our kids, Aiden and Ava. Currently, we are teaching them about Noah and the ark. What have you learned so far about Noah and the ark, Aiden?
There was a big flood, and it lasted 40 days and 40 nights.
That's right. Some other things that we've been doing during this time of quarantine is that we've been catching up on our home projects that we've been meaning to do for a long time.
We've also been spending time as a family playing board games, going outside, and just trying to get through these tough times.
And then we got some words of encouragement from Aiden.
We can't see you guys because of the coronavirus. We love you guys.
All right. That's right. We love you. We miss you guys. And we can't wait to be back at OC Grace and worship and praise Jesus with all you guys. All right. Take care. Thank you.
Sing with us. Come, let us worship the Lord in the beauty of holiness. Come, let us worship the Lord in the beauty of holiness. Give Him the honor and give Him the praise. Come, let us worship the Lord. Let's give Him the praise. Come, let us worship the Lord in the beauty of holiness. Come, let us worship the Lord in the beauty of holiness. Give Him the honor, give Him the praise. Come, let us worship the Lord. Let's give Him the praise. Worship Him. Worship Him. Give my God the glory. Give my God the praise. Worship Him. Worship Him. Come, let us worship the Lord. Let's give Him the praise. Come, let us worship the Lord in the beauty of holiness. Come, worship the Lord in the beauty of holiness. Give him the honor, give him the praise. Come, let us worship the Lord, let's give him the praise. Worship him, worship him. Give my God the glory, give my God the praise. Worship him, worship him. Come, let us worship the Lord, let's give him the praise. Let's sing together. Worship him, let us worship him. Give him glory, give my God the glory, give him praise, give my God the praise. Worship him, let us worship him. Come, let us worship the Lord. Come, let us worship the Lord. Come, let us worship the Lord. Let's give him the praise.
Good morning, church family. I wanted to welcome you here. Welcome to OC Grace. Welcome to our spare room. We're all here to just enjoy this morning together. First of all, there's a couple birthdays I wanted to hit up. Let's see, we've got Kevin Stanish.
Kev Dog.
Kev Dog, he was yesterday.
Yeah.
And then this morning, or today,
This
is-
afternoon, too.
This afternoon, Christina
And tonight.
Alba. Yes, so happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday! We love you guys.
We love you all. If there's any other birthdays that we missed, please send us messages, and we will, of course, shout them out right here. For this next song, I want you to get up off your feet, or get up on your feet in your living room. Yes. And let's praise the Lord this morning. Strength will rise as we wait upon. We will wait upon. We will wait upon. Strength will rise as we wait upon. We'll wait upon. We'll wait upon our God. You reign forever. Our hope, our strong deliverer. You are the everlasting God, the everlasting God. You do not faint, you won't grow weary. You're the defender of the weak. You comfort those in need. You lift us up on wings like, let's hear you sing. Oh, 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 oh. Strength, strength will rise as we wait upon the Lord. Wait upon the Lord. We will wait upon the Lord. Strength will rise as we wait upon the Lord. We will wait upon the Lord. Wait upon the Lord our God. You reign forever. are the everlasting God, the everlasting God. You do not faint, you won't grow weary. You're the defender of the weak. You comfort those in need. You lift us up on wings like eagles. Oh, 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 yeah. Oh, oh, oh. One more time. And oh, oh, oh. And oh, oh, oh. Anybody get their feet off before?
working. You never stop working. You never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop working. You never stop working. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You are Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. My God, that is who you are. You're here with the grace of the Savior, with the heart of the Father. You're all we need. You're here with the hands of the healer, with the power of your Spirit. You're all we need. At the mention of your name, every chain will break. I know everything will change. Jesus, just the whisper of your name will silence wind and waves. At the mention of your name. You're here, you're the provider, all I've ever needed. Jesus, you supply. And you're here with wonder-working power. Everything you breathe on is coming back to life. At the mention of your name, every chain will break. I know everything will change. Jesus, just a whisper of your name will silence wind and waves.
At the mention of your name, every chain will break. I know everything will change. Jesus, just a whisper of your name will silence wind and waves. At the mention of your name, just the mention. Just the whisper, just the whisper. You're just a breath away. How you are, you're just a breath away.
Happy Sabbath, church family. I hope you're doing well and staying safe. This is Jackie here, and I have a few announcements for you today. We are continuing with our Sabbath school classes, starting off with Adult Sabbath School with Derek Evans at 9:30 a.m. Adult Sabbath School class with Naomi DeSena at 10 a.m. and Youth Sabbath School class with me at 10 a.m. So stay tuned for those. And also we have a Filipino AY program today at 1:30 p.m. So continue to read your future newsletters and stay connected with us via Instagram and Facebook at OC Grace Church, at OC Grace First, and at OC Grace Youth. We will be continuing with our food bank on Thursday and future worship and Vespers coming up. So follow us on our social medias and stay tuned for those. Thank you, church, for hanging in there with us. The church is a people, and remember that we're in this together. Stay safe. Bye.
Happy Sabbath all, it's Kim. I just wanted to tell you about our children's story today. So this one actually comes from Kayla. So the other day, I lost a paper, a very important paper. It's one sheet of paper, but it has notes and jotted information on it from work. It has a few passwords, it has some codes, it has some dates, it has some very important information that I always need for work. I go to work on Wednesdays and Fridays, and the kids go with me because the whole office is ours, and it's way bigger than our house. So my kids run around, and I get my work done, and I print things out, and there's a we at my job. That's right, there's a we at my job. So my kids know that if they finish their work on their tablet and their homework that they have to do every day, that they get to play on the Wii. So they love going to work. Well, I take that paper with me everywhere, and on Friday, I couldn't find it. Could not find it. Monday came around, I still couldn't find it. I was like, I think it's at work. So I go to work on Wednesday, could not find it. Looked everywhere. I looked in my folders, I looked in my paperwork, I looked in my drawers, I looked in my bag, I looked everywhere and I couldn't find it. So that night I came home and I started looking for it at home. Now, I didn't look for it real thorough at home before because I thought I left it at work, but now I realize it's not at work. So I looked at my old bills and I'm looking through papers, and I don't know if you've ever lost anything, but sometimes you feel very desperate if it's something really important to you. This was very important to me. I've been writing on that thing for about 4 years, so it's got a lot of notes on it. So I am panicking. I'm starting to panic. It's been like 4 hours. I've looked through everything. My paperwork's all organized and real pretty, but I still don't have the paper that I'm looking for. Finally, I have to get Mike and Kayla to come help. I said, okay, I'm going to describe this to you. It's this big, it's folded twice, it's got this on it, it's got this on it, and I'm giving them details. And Kayla looks at me, realizing I'm a little bit in a panic, and she says, well, did you pray about it? Oh my goodness, you guys, I didn't pray about it. I realized that God doesn't only listen to big, important prayers like, please keep us healthy in this time and make sure we keep our job and all this stuff that people are worrying about right now. God's not too busy. And I told her, I didn't pray. Thank you for reminding me. So she prayed and I prayed and we were looking for it. I did not find that paper yet. But after I prayed, I realized that I had made a digital copy of it about a month ago. Actually, maybe even less. So I actually had a digital copy of almost everything that was on the paper. Obviously, it doesn't have everything because I take the paper with me everywhere. But it had enough that I could get my work done. And I realized that God is never too busy for me. Even with the little, non-important stuff in the broad spectrum of the world, God is not too busy for me. And I need you guys to remember that. No matter what you do, you lose a toy that's important, or you fall down and hurt your knee, God cares. He wants to hear every part of your life, not just the big stuff. He wants to know your everyday stuff, like your best friend. So remember, He's there for you no matter what. Love God, because He always, always loves you. Happy Sabbath, and enjoy your time off.
Happy Sabbath, OC Grace and Garden Grove Church. This past few weeks have been extremely challenging to some of us. Some people have had their plans totally changed. Some people have lost their jobs. But I believe the saddest and most challenging has been for families that unfortunately lost a dear one. One of the victims of COVID-19 was the chairman of the Portuguese unit of Spain's largest bank, Santander. Vieira Monteiro passed away a couple weeks ago, and his daughter said the following to the media. We are a very wealthy family. However, my father died completely alone. He couldn't take any of the wealth with him. As we look at the biblical concept of tithes and offerings, we have to understand that everything we have belongs to God. Everything we have was given by God, and all that He asks is that we give a small percentage back. So today, when you write a check or when you go online to set up a deposit or you go to our website, I want you to remember and keep in mind that everything you have and I have belongs to God. God bless you, be safe, and I hope to see you very soon.
Let's have a word of prayer, shall we? Oh, Father in heaven, I'm really grateful that you're available to us when we come, that you welcome us to have community with you, as we do now. And so, Father, although we're way far away from each other, there's a lot of us who are gathering in your name right now, and so you are with us. And Father, right now, it's a difficult time for our church family because the place where we get together and worship together and have community together is closed right now because of this illness, this virus. Oh, Father, I would ask you if you could help us to find ways of loving each other and looking after each other and caring for each other anyway, despite the distance that we have to maintain between each other. So it's a very special time right now where we have to find ways of caring for each other and of loving each other. So I would ask if you would help us to do that, please, Lord. We're very grateful to the leadership of our church, our pastoral leadership, Pastor Alger and Obed, who lead us spiritually, and our administrator and our treasurer and our youth director who take care of our programs and who innovate, look for ways of making it so we can interact with each other in meaningful ways. I ask you, Lord, to be with them and to help them in their efforts and in their work. Lord, the search committee, I have no idea how they are getting along in all of this. I just ask if you would please help them in their search for a permanent pastor, even though we're going through this time. It's a very special time. It's a challenging time. It's a time for us to learn new ways of relating to each other and caring for each other somehow. So I would ask if you would help us with that, please, Lord. Father, this is a time when each one of us is right now dependent upon every other person on the face of the earth, all 7 billion of us, to do the right thing, to stay home, stay away from each other, to stop the spread of this virus. Lord, please help us, each of us, to do our part, to do the right thing, to stop the spread of this virus. Oh, Father, I lift up our church family, our entire congregation to you right now in prayer, and I lift up our nation and our world to you in prayer right now, Lord. I ask your grace and I ask your help. Oh, Father, I pray this in your Son's name. Amen.
Good morning, church family, and happy Sabbath. So I guess let me start with a disclaimer. I'm not an ordained minister. I'm not ordained by the Seventh-day Adventist Church. I don't represent the General Conference or even OC Grace. I'm just a member who's humbled by the opportunity to share today. If I say something that strikes you as out of tune, I apologize in advance, and I certainly don't mean to offend. About the coronavirus. It's devastatingly easy to become paralyzed with fear and depression. We're realizing how much we need human contact, interaction, and touch, and we aren't getting it. About 3 weeks ago, I started to have symptoms. I started to get an elevated temperature. I had headache, body ache, and a dry, hacking cough. We've been good at social distancing in our house, but not perfect, so it's possible that I got it. I'm a lifelong asthmatic with lungs that are compromised, so it was a matter of concern. In consultation with my doctor, I isolated myself in my bedroom, and the only time that I came out, I was wearing a mask. Poor Charlotte was sleeping on the couch. When my temperature hit 101.4, my doctor wanted me to come in to go through a drive-through testing. So it happened in the middle of one of those big rains 2 weeks ago, and it was like a bad science fiction movie. The nurse was encased head to toe in protective gear. She had goggles, face mask, gloves and booties sealed with duct tape on a plastic suit. Not an inch of skin was visible. She pulled out this long, thin probe to insert up my nose almost to my brain. I'd like to tell you I was heroic, but I was a total wimp. I'm going, I, while trying not to squirm. She pulled it out, and there's tears streaming down my face, and I start coughing uncontrollably. When I gathered myself, she said, "Okay?" And I nodded yes. She said, "Turn your head. We have to do the other nostril." Then she said, you should hear back in about 5 days, but you should act as if you have the virus. Well, I wasn't afraid. It was stressful. You wonder if your life insurance is up to date. Are viruses excluded from the coverage? Is there anything important that I have to tell Charlotte right now? Because if I'm on a ventilator, I may not be able to communicate. And I didn't realize how scary it was for Char and the girls. They were keeping a brave face while being worried about me. Honestly, it was worse for them than it was for me. 2 days later, I got the results back. It came back negative for the virus. Well, actually, they said I might have it, but my specimen didn't show it. Now it's just a matter of dealing with the asthma, which is an ongoing process. Something like this gives you empathy for those who do have the virus and who are suffering, and their families who are helpless in this process. You feel for those families who have lost loved ones, the 50,000 people who have died in the U.S. alone, and the 200 fatalities around the world in just the last few months. All of us have been touched by these events. Many are stuck at home, but others are working long, stressful conditions in healthcare, grocery distribution, or other essential jobs, worrying that you may contract the virus and bring it home. Many have lost jobs, or they have small businesses and they're working to keep their business alive while not getting paid. Some are children or young people at home trying to figure out online school and life with little connection to your friends and no idea when it's going to end, or just trying to put food on the table. As a church, we are struggling with how we fulfill our mission of meeting the needs of our church community and our local community. Do we go out and engage with people, or is that irresponsible? How do we support our most vulnerable members, or those who have lost jobs and are afraid what tomorrow brings? These are hard questions with few good choices. First, if you are feeling a need, either of prayer or something tangible assistance, we ask that you reach out to the church at the church office at email at office@ocgrace.com. That is the best way to contact the church. We absolutely will pray for you and with you, and we will diligently work on getting you other help that you may need. Second, we want to encourage you to practice safe social interaction. Community helps, and this community is here to help you and I. Okay, on to the topic. So all this month, we've been talking about simply Jesus. Very appropriate for the time. I'd like to suggest that for this talk that we divide up the aspects of Jesus' life into 3 segments that I would call formation, service, and sacrifice. Formation covers Jesus' early life until he was about 30. Service covering his 3 years of public ministry, and sacrifice covering the time of Jesus' death and resurrection, the Easter story that we recently celebrated. Today we'll be talking about formation and a little about service. And rather than a specific text, I'll be covering a broad brushstroke of Jesus' life. Jesus lived for about 30 years before his public ministry, and little is known about that time. We know about the birth of Jesus, and we are told that as an infant, his family fled to Egypt to avoid him being killed by King Herod, and that they came back about 4 years later when Herod died, and they settled in Nazareth. Think about it for a minute. The distance between Bethlehem and Egypt is about 400 miles. It's like walking to Sacramento. You're carrying an infant. If you walk 15 miles a day, it's going to take about a month. And then you settle in Egypt for the next several years. If you consider Jewish history, Egypt has dramatic feelings for Jewish culture. This is the place of their bondage, the birthplace of Passover, which is about saving the firstborn son from death. And Joseph, Mary, and Jesus leave the promised land to settle in Egypt to save their first son from death. We know that when Jesus was 12, his family made the 5-day trek from Nazareth to Jerusalem for Passover, and that Jesus got left behind. It took 4 days for his parents to find him, and they finally discovered him, and he was with the rabbis and chief scholars of the day, amazing them with his knowledge. Can you imagine that conversation between parents and child? His parents frantic with worry, joyous to find that their son is alive as they chastise him for getting lost, and his unconcerned reply. But other than that, we just don't know a lot about Jesus until he was 30 years old. What was he like as a teenager? We know that Jesus was fully human and yet did not sin. What does that mean? Was he a normal teenager? Did he have friends? Did Jesus have the same feelings and temptations that we do? Look, I remember being 15, 16, 17 years old. Frankly, with all those hormones racing around in my body, I spent most of the time thinking about girls or worrying about how socially inept I was. What did Jesus say when they asked him to play spin the bottle or truth or dare? I don't mean to be sacrilegious, but it makes you wonder. What was Jesus like as a young man? It is said he was a carpenter like Joseph, although some interpretations suggest that the Greek word tekton means builder, and in that region all the buildings were made from stone because there were few trees, so it's possible that he was a stonemason. He was 30 before his ministry started. That means he was an adult for a decade or more. Did he live at his parents' home or by himself? Did Jesus date? Desire romantic companionship? What did he say when his mother's friends kept asking him when he was getting married and having kids? No, the Bible's silent on these things. What did Jesus look like? In the church foyer, there's this wonderful picture, a painting of Jesus as a beautiful, serene man with a gentle gaze, who has tan skin, long, flowing, chestnut-colored hair, with broad shoulders in draping robes. He looks very kingly. But this man, this Jesus, was a builder, a carpenter or a stonemason. Perhaps his hair was cut short to keep out of the way, his hands thick and muscular with calluses and scars from years of heavy manual labor, his skin burnt dark by working outdoors in the desert climate every day. The last part of Isaiah 53:2 says, "He had no beauty or majesty to attract us to him, nothing in his appearance that we should desire him." What did he do when he wasn't working? Was he a person of influence in his community? We know that from the time he was 12, his theological knowledge was unmatched. Did he bring that to bear in Nazareth? Did he teach? Did he heal people in those early days but tell them to be silent about it? Why do we hear nothing about his gifts before he was 30? The first we hear of Jesus' ministry is from John chapter 2, verses 1 through 10, a wedding in Cana. This is a wedding of someone known to the family because both Jesus and his mother were there. During the reception, they ran out of wine, and Mary said to him, "They have no more wine." And Jesus said to her, "Woman, why do you involve me? My time has not yet come." And just a note, the word woman in this place and connotation isn't disrespectful. Mary then says to the servants, "Do what he tells you." This says something about Mary. She's a guest at this wedding, and yet she has the kind of stature that she can order the servants of the wedding host around. There's so much in this exchange to unpack. Clearly, Mary knows all about Jesus' supernatural gifts. She calls on him to fix the situation, and he protests that the time isn't right. But she ignores him and tells the servants of the wedding host to listen to Jesus, and then he does what his mother tells him to do. Doesn't it make you wonder why? Why did he start his public ministry, his miracles, with something that seems so meaningless? He could have healed the sick, fed thousands, walked on water, raised the dead. Instead, he makes wine. Why did Mary insist that he use his gifts at this moment? Did she know that it really was time for him to start and he just needed a push from mom to get over the hump? Even though he told her that his time was not yet come, he did what Mary said. Why? Is that just because he was a dutiful son? And so begins the public aspect of his ministry. Raises questions for me. Jesus, this perfect person, certainly wasn't perfectly obedient. He is a rabbi, a teacher, and yet he broke all the rules of the day. a peacemaker who spent the next 3 years making trouble for the political and religious leaders of the nation. Virtually every aspect of his ministry was about defying the existing order. They had strict rules about what a person could do on the Sabbath. He broke them all. Walked farther than was allowed, gathered food, healed the sick. You name the rule and he broke it. He shunned spending time with the rabbis or in the temple, and instead sought out the very worst people. The Samaritan girl at the well that Pastor Alger spoke about a couple weeks ago. Zacchaeus, the chief tax collector, a wealthy, short man with a horrible reputation, a man who took money from poor people to line his own pockets, then afforded the rest to the political leaders who kept some and gave the rest to the hated Roman Empire. Jesus healed the servant of a Roman centurion, a military commander. The people of Israel were a conquered people and they hated their Roman overlords. Jesus heals this man's servant and marvels at the centurion's belief, saying, I tell you, not even in Israel have I found such faith. Jesus healed those with leprosy, associated himself with prostitutes and others of low reputation. He was a blue-collar guy from a bad part of town. In John chapter 1, verse 46, Nathanael asks if anything good can come out of Nazareth. The political and religious leaders hated and feared him. They were afraid that he would cause them to lose their exalted position, or that Jesus would try and lead a rebellion against Rome, which Rome would crush. When we think of Jesus, we know him as the only perfect person in history, and yet he was arguably the most disobedient person of his time. In his teachings, he taught sedition and blasphemy. He said the last shall be first and the first last. The Sermon on the Mount, where he exalted those not in power versus those who were. For Jews, the highest authority is the Ten Commandments. They were given by God directly to Moses. And yet Jesus had the gall to say that if you love God and love your neighbor as yourself, on these commandments rest all of the law. How dare he give 2 of his own commandments that were more important than the 10 given by God directly to Moses? Jesus, in 3 years of ministry, was about helping those in the worst of situations, making a difference for them here on earth, and yet also directing them to a future hope. This simple Jesus is really a study in contradictions. So what does that mean for you and I in our current circumstances? How do we apply this simple Jesus to where we are today? Stuck at home? Worried about the future? About our family, our jobs, or our health? Worried about what's next? So here are a couple of thoughts. First, breathe. Just breathe. Breathe in slowly and out slowly. Pray and remember that we serve a great God who knows us and loves us. Last night I went outside about midnight. I looked up at a clear sky with few lights and no smog to block the stars and little road noise. Psalm 46:10 says, "Be still and know that I am God." There is no better time than right now to do that. Second, recognize that this is a forced break in our busy daily routine. A chance to look back at the last 5 or 10 or maybe 50 years and ask if we've been living our best self. And a chance to cast forward 5 or 10 or 50 years to see how we can make the world a better place. When we look back, we may find that this is the moment that led to life-altering changes. This difficult time creates an opportunity if we're just willing to seize it. Third, this is a time to look at ourselves, look outside of ourselves with empathy, to see the world from new eyes, to think about how today we better appreciate people whose job it is to stock the toilet paper. Or as we go a little stir-crazy in our apartments or homes, while we're connected with our phones and the internet, maybe we think about those people in prison. And I'm not talking about crime and punishment, but maybe we have a different perspective on what it might be like to live in a 6 by 8 foot cell with no phone, no internet, and your toilet and sink are one and the same. And doing that day after day, year after year? Perhaps we view a prisoner's mental condition in a slightly different way based on our experiences of the last month. Or as our air is cleaner and the stars are brighter at night, do we think about the environment in a different way than we did 2 months ago? About what it means to be good stewards of the earth? Or perhaps we see education in a different light, have greater empathy for what our teachers go through, or our students, or parents. Lastly, we have this chance to reach out to create community in new and different ways. We may not be seeing each other face to face each week at church, where we politely inquire how the other person is doing and distractedly wait for our turn to talk. Now we have a chance to call, or FaceTime, or Zoom, or Skype, and really reach out. A chance to understand each other's needs and work to find creative ways to help. This may seem like the worst of times, but it can also be the best of them. Blessings upon you and your family and loved ones. May God be with you in this coming week, and may your experiences of this week bring you ever closer in your walk with Jesus.
God of creation, there at the start, before the beginning of time. With no point of reference, you spoke to the dark, fleshed out the wonder of light. And as you speak, 100 billion galaxies are born. In the vapor of your breath, the planets born. If the stars were made to worship, so will I. Don't speak in vain, no syllable empty or void. For once you have spoken, all nature and science follow the sound of your voice. Ooh, and as you speak, 100 billion creatures catch your breath, evolving in pursuit of what you said. If it all reveals your nature so alive, I can see your heart in everything you say. Every painted sky, your canvas of your grace. Creation still obeys you so alive. So alive. created, light of the world, abandoned in darkness to die. And as you speak, 100 billion fails disappear. Where you lost your life so I could find it here. If you left the grave behind you, so will I. Yeah. I can see your heart and everything you've done. Every part designed in a work of art called love. So I can see your heart a billion different ways. Every precious one, a child you died to save. If you give your life to love, then so will I. Like you would again 100 billion times. But what measure could amount to your desire? You're the one who never leaves the one behind.
I just want to remind everyone, Thursday we have food. OC Grace parking lot drive-through from 5 to 7. So if you know someone in need, please come by between 5 and 7 this Thursday to pick up a box and deliver it to someone and bless their lives. We're here, we support you, we love you, we want to help you continue ministry to those around you, and we're just so excited that you're a part of us. And we encourage you to continue submitting videos, submitting your hellos. We love seeing you and hearing from you. And we are a church body together, even though we're apart. So continue sending your videos in so we can experience this community together.
Hey, and I wanted to just remind people that there are Sabbath schools before this point. If you want to participate in a Sabbath school, please get in contact with the pastoral team, with the office. We can give you a Google account if you want that, and you can host as many people as you need to host. But we want to give you the tools to be involved. So, have a great Sabbath.
Happy Sabbath, y'all.
Bye.